The Morgan Report with David Morgan. Discover how to build and protect your wealth at themorganreport.com.
Welcome. This is David Morgan of themorganreport.com for the week ending 2 February 2024. Well, January 2024 has come and gone. So I am on the main landing page here at the website, as you well know, and we don't have these icons very big, but you can see there's our Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube channels. So before I go there, I just want to remind our paid subscribers, our premium members, that you just log in here at the members login, and it logs you in, and then you look for the main topic, which is the current report right here. Also want to point out that we added a few new items to our right-hand side, which is special reports. So look for those. I also added something that was a request this month about preparedness. Gave a website, really one of the best. And then the two books that I think are the best, and I have several, but Holly Deo's Dare to Prepare and the late, great, deceased When Technology Fails by Matthew Stein. Both those books, those two books, would prepare you for darn near anything that you can imagine. So right now I want to go ahead and look at our Twitter account and make a few comments. All right, so I am on our Twitter account, as you can see. And thank you for one of the people that pointed out in a direct message I had something misspelled. Sorry about that. Anyways, corrected now. I repost a fair amount. This is one that I want to bring to your attention. This was a long time ago, but this article talks about a class action lawsuit against UBS. And further down in the article, what you'll find out is there's also one against Morgan Stanley. And this one, he quoted from a Seeking Alpha article. What's so interesting about this lawsuit about Morgan Stanley was that this lawsuit in 2007 against Morgan Stanley also claimed it had been defrauded into participating in unallocated metal storage. Now, those that follow the markets closely on the precious metal side are probably well aware of John Adams, and John really kind of went on, I'll call it a rampage, or at least a spirited move to get the community to understand what unallocated storage actually meant, and actually got quite a few people to check their holdings and see if they were allocated or unallocated, and I think it made a difference, at least for a little while. Anyway, I digressed. Let me come back. So in this unallocated metal storage, the bank defended itself by alleging, among other defenses, that it was simply following industry practices. In other words, the amount of information given to the customers, the unallocated nature of the scheme, as well as charging for storage fees for imaginary metal were standard industry practices. Let that sink in. What this bank, Morgan Stanley, said, according to this article on Seeking Alpha, was that the bank said it was standard practice to have unallocated accounts that didn't have any metal and charge storage fees. And this was standard practice? Think about that. If you're storing metal anywhere outside of just a few, I think anything that's in the COMEX should be there. I think any of the warehouses or vaults for the COMEX, such as Brinks, Garda, any of the vaulting services that ship metal around in armored cars are probably valid. I've got my own particular one outside of that realm that I like it for privacy purposes, and I won't announce it publicly, but if you're interested, you can DM me on Twitter, and all of my premium members know who it is and where it is. And in fact, several have actually gone there and checked out their metal. If you can't really call up and say, hey, I want to look at my metal, you better be a little suspicious. You're not going to be able to do it at Brinks. You're not going to be able to do it at Garda. You're not going to be able to do it at Coins and Things. I mean, there's certain places you just won't be able to do it. But on the private side, you should be able to do it. And the one, again, that I recommend the most often, you can do that. But again, this is something that most people aren't aware of. We've been talking about, if you don't hold it, you don't own it for years. Yet there are cases where you almost have to store it for a variety of reasons, and you can, but you got to be darn sure of where it is and, that it's really there. So another one on my Twitter account was a repost. Tavi Costa, I consider him to be one of the leaders in the in this industry, among other things. And he always very thought-provoking stuff and great stuff that he posts, just showing the bank failures by year. I mean, we haven't had many over the intervening years here. Of course, we really had quite a few last year, and I think we're going to get more than that this year. And these banks are closing up left, right, and center. I put something out on my YouTube channel on the number of bank closures in San Francisco alone. It was rather astounding how many have been closed. Another one I reposted. This is an oldie but goodie. I probably posted it 10 times on my Twitter account. But this is from Bill Still, The Secret of Oz. It's free. It's on the YouTube. You can press here and you'll be able to watch it. And it really goes into, and it's really well done. And thank you, Bill, for taking time to do this. But it goes through really the real story behind the story of The Wizard of Oz. And it's really all about the monetary system. And he makes that case, and he does it very, very well. I won't explain it all to you. I've done interviews where I've discussed it briefly. But nonetheless, something that even if you've watched it once, you might want to watch it again on the weekend or not, but it definitely has been the case really through a lot of history that people are suppressed, and to get the truth out, they either do it with humor or they camouflage it in a certain way or not. That was the case for Frank Baum and The Wizard of Oz. Moving down, is this just the beginning for gold? This is one of my favorite articles. This actually helped me early on. This thing was published, I think, around 2002. It's in the article here. And I can't pronounce this gentleman's name. I'm not sure how you pronounce T-L-A-G-A. Tagala, I don't know. A-G-A-A. Anyway, the article is about gold standard equals fiat in disguise. I would recommend anybody that likes to, it's a student of money, a student of monetary history, a student of the markets, should actually read this article. A lot of it goes into the early history of why the silver standard got, 15.5 ounces per ounce of gold, or 15.2 and pound sterling and all that stuff. But as you read through it, what you'll come to find is why having a gold-only standard is really the same as a fiat standard. And then it usually morphs into no backing of gold, like what happened in 1971, August 15th, when Nixon closed the gold window, and then you go to a pure fiat standard, and all the currencies float against each other, and then you get to the point where all fiat fails, which we're approaching rapidly, and all that. So again, I would highly recommend anybody that's a market student read that. Another one that came up this week, I had a chat with the people at First Majestic. I'll probably try to do a podcast, probably try to get Keith. He'll probably agree to come on my platform. But this came, and I think this is important. First Majestic Silver and 19 other executives from the silver industry published an open letter advocating for silver to be considered a critical metal by the Canadians. And you can click this and read the whole thing. We also posted what that letter was. It was quite well done in my view. I actually spoke to the author, two-on-one. They had their speakerphone on. I was actually driving in the truck, but regardless, I got a little bit more insight in it, and I think it's important. This was one that I think also you could take a look at. This was Top 6 backed cryptocurrencies. Lode isn't in there. And as I've always told you, I am involved with Lode at ag.lode.one. Therefore, I am biased. But nonetheless, this article, in my view, is pretty interesting because what it talks about is these gold-backed cryptos, but it also mentions, what's going on in the other cryptocurrencies. And it gives a pretty good review of this. I like this article. I thought, this first one, question one, is Bitcoin backed by gold? No, Bitcoin is not backed by gold, precious metals, or fiat. Bitcoin derives its value from a variety of factors: decentralized acceptance, usability, demand, and technological value. The price changes with demand and usability. However, we have a list of best gold-backed crypto for this article. Now, I have said, and I will be right or I will be wrong, or maybe in the middle, but probably right or wrong, that I think that the next big move in the cryptocurrency will ABDCs, asset-backed digital currencies. In other words, gold-backed, silver-backed, cobalt-backed, real estate-backed, oil-backed, something tangible, because a lot of these cryptos are just a fancy fiat. I mean, they are, a technology. Yes, they have value. Some have anonymity, some don't. There's a lot less anonymity in the crypto space than most people believe, and that's the basis of another article we're publishing. We'll probably publish the new Morgan Report February edition tomorrow. I'm doing this on Friday. It'll be out Saturday, the 3rd of February. Regardless, coming back on the topic at hand, which cryptocurrencies are backed by assets? It goes through that. Can a Bitcoin crash? Yes or no, depending on demand. Does anyone get rich from Bitcoin? Yes, of course they do. Bitcoin made countless millionaires after shooting in value from 0.0008 cents per coin in 2009, 8 cents per coin in July 2010, and the current price of $54,000, which is now about $42,000. This is October 2021. People became millionaires from dealing in Bitcoins, including, he gives some names, and then he goes through these crypto backed by gold digital currencies. The thing I'll say about Load, I may do a podcast on this, or maybe a couple of interviews, and add them to the Crypto Conspiracy Theory series, which is already 30 long, is what the differences are between some of these asset-backed digital currencies. Most of them are just kind of a holding program, a fiat to gold exchange, whereas the Load program is really a monetary system, which is, in my view, again, being biased, the best way to go. And of course, the whole idea of putting gold and silver back into the people's hands and giving them the money power is utilization. If everybody just stacks, it's just like getting a bunch of bonds and putting them in the safe or selling them back to the Fed or whatever. It doesn't really do much. It's got to circulate. And how are you going to get gold and silver to circulate? And that's a good question. And I think the answer, or at least one of them, is to go ahead and make it viable to spend it. What does that mean? Give a discount. For example, I'll take Load at a big discount, like 20% for the Morgan Report. So anybody that's in the Load community that wants to pay me in AGX or AUX, I'll accept a $400 bill rather than a $500 bill, that type of thing. And that will be in the community. So you can get a discount on various goods and services. And it's not really that many involved right now, but it will grow. And the other thing is, for example, loading your phone. If you get a 20% discount using silver rather than using fiat, you're inclined to use the silver. And lastly, as these appreciate in terms of fiat, and certainly gold has, so the AUX side of the Load program has, if you bought your gold at 1800 and it's sitting at 2000, there may be some incentive there to take some profits off the table, and you don't have to do it necessarily in fiat alone. You could do it by buying some goods, some service, or perhaps exchanging it for silver or whatever. But anyway, it's a platform that needs to be used. We need to see more of a wake-up call into the utilization of money on a daily basis, because very few people do. Most of us just stack, and that's fine for savings. But as far as to put real money back into circulation, that's the goal, because that's what's going to increase velocity, awareness, and also the idea of what it really is, and it really is money. So I'm going to leave it there. This is David Morgan of themorganreport.com. For the premium members, look for the new report probably by this time tomorrow. And for those that aren't, certainly one of the best places to follow my thinking is on Twitter. And I am going to start posting a little bit more of kind of old school thought processes about honest money, sound money, the fiat system, and just the core basic fundamental ideas that are important to instill to understand what's gone wrong on this money power adventure, where now we see that such a small percentage of the world's population owns such a great amount of the world's wealth. And anytime there's a disparity like that, which we now see, usually leads to rather uneasy circumstances for people at large, both the elite class and the poorer classes. So Not predicting that, but it's pretty easy to see from history that that's what's taken place. Do I expect it in the future? Actually, I do, but how that unravels remains to be determined. So way to prevent that is for us to take the money power back a little bit at a time, and that's to spend judiciously. And certainly we have to change the way the banking system is set up, and that isn't easy. So I'll leave it there. Again, David Morgan from the MorganReport.com.
What if I told you that you could go broke in less than 24 hours? That's how long it took for the Dow Jones Industrial Average to plunge by nearly 22%, losing investors billions overnight. The same happened to the FTX crypto exchange and Terra Luna stablecoin. Both crashed overnight, losing crypto investors billions. You need a strategy that will protect whatever amount of savings you have now. We are going to witness the greatest transfer of wealth that has ever occurred in recorded history, and you must understand the following. You can absolutely go broke in one day. We've been helping subscribers weather this economic mess for years. Now it's time for you to get the same insights. What really happens during a major collapse is that the wealth changes hands. You will actually benefit by looking ahead and knowing exactly how to build and preserve your wealth. Putting just 10% or 20% of your wealth into our approach could make all the difference in your financial security and peace of mind over the next few years. Discover the Morgan Report today. Visit our site at themorganreport.com.